Today, we're diving into something truly incredible, all based on a 2022 study by Rahman and colleagues. It's about a kind of living pharmacy in Pakistan. And it all starts with a question you have probably never, ever asked yourself. So what do you think? Can a wild duck be used to treat cancer? I know, it sounds like a question from a history book, right? Well, for some communities in Pakistan, the answer is a very confident yes. And we're about to find out exactly why. Yep, you heard that right. We're talking about dozens of different waterbird species, ducks, plovers, you name it, forming this amazing living pharmacy. It's a tradition that's been passed down for generations to treat all sorts of illnesses. And just so you know, everything we're exploring today comes straight from this fantastic piece of field research. It's a perfect example of how science can help us understand and, maybe even preserve ancient knowledge. These are stories that are just too important to lose. So, what on earth does a bird-based pharmacy even look like in practice? Well, that question brings us to a really cool field of science that studies exactly this kind of thing.
It's called ethnoornithology. Big word, simple idea. It's the study of how people and birds interact. So we're not just talking about bird watching here. It's about the deep, deep connections, cultural, symbolic, and practical. Using birds for food, in folklore, and just like we're seeing, for medicine.
And why should we care? Well, documenting this knowledge is about so much more than just collecting old folktales. It's about preserving cultural identity. It's about saving wisdom that's literally at risk of vanishing. And, as we're about to see, it could even point modern science towards brand new medicines. Okay, so how did the researchers actually pull this off? How did they uncover all this incredible traditional knowledge? Let's get into their methods for a minute.
The team headed to a specific region in Pakistan, right between the Indus and Kabul rivers. This is a place where you have this amazing mix of landscapes and really ancient cultural practices. Honestly, it's the perfect spot to find this kind of deep ecological knowledge.
So they conducted these really detailed interviews with 100 local people. This wasn't some remote research done from an office. They went right to the source, to the people who hold this knowledge in their communities.
Now, what's so cool here is who they talked to. This wisdom wasn't just held by one type of person. It came from hunters, from farmers, but especially it came from the traditional health practitioners and the community elders. They were really the main keepers of these medicinal secrets.
And this is where the urgency kicks in. The study found that this knowledge is mostly held by the older folks in the community. With younger generations moving towards modern medicine and different ways of life, there's a very real danger that all of this wisdom could just fade away, gone forever.
Okay, so let's get to the really good stuff, the core findings. Which birds were being used and what were they treating? This is where the data gets, wow, really fascinating.
The sheer scale of this is pretty mind-blowing. Out of 64 waterbird species that were important to the local culture, for food or even in superstitions, a massive 40 of them were specifically identified as having medicinal uses. 40! And they use pretty much the whole bird. The meat is the most common ingredient, sure, but the fat, the eggs, even the bones, they're all prepared in specific ways to treat everything from a simple cough to really serious conditions like arthritis.
But okay, among those 40 species, were there any standouts, any remedies that were considered extra reliable or, extra powerful? The researchers actually had a really smart way to figure this out.
They used something called a Fidelity Level, or FL. It's actually a pretty simple but genius idea. Basically, if almost everyone you talk to agrees that this specific bird is used to treat this specific illness, then that remedy has a high fidelity level. It's like a way of measuring cultural consensus, turning stories into data.
And wow, this chart just perfectly shows how powerful that idea is. 4 different birds had a 100% fidelity level. That means every single person who knew about a cure from that bird agreed on what it was for. But just look at the top of that list. The mallard duck, unanimously cited for its use in treating cancer. That's an absolutely stunning finding.
I mean, the mallard was basically the superstar of this whole natural pharmacy. On top of that 100% score for cancer, it was the most popular remedy overall, used for a whole range of other common illnesses. It was a true multi-purpose medicine for this community. But this whole story isn't just about discovering potential new medicines. This traditional knowledge is sitting at a very difficult crossroads, and it creates a real conflict between culture and conservation.
And here's the fundamental problem. On one side, this knowledge is just priceless. That 100% fidelity level, that strongly suggests there could be real, undiscovered biochemical stuff going on, things that could guide modern medicine. But on the other side, the practice itself, combined with habitat loss and climate change, puts a ton of pressure on these bird populations.
This quote from the study itself just nails the dilemma. The very cultural importance that keeps this knowledge alive could, if it's not done sustainably, end up destroying the source of that knowledge. It's an incredibly delicate and, frankly, dangerous balance.
And so, that leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? It's the ultimate challenge this research brings to light. How do we honor and learn from this incredible traditional wisdom while also making sure the species that make it all possible actually survive? There are no easy answers here, but just asking the question, that's the first and most important step.